And I'm Karen Deloach.
And welcome to Love Letters. Love Letters are a collection of love stories of people get lost, get crazy, and disoriented in the name of love. Another week, another great episode. Seeking your guidance on keeping our marriage strong for life. That will be our topic for today, according to our letter sender. So, Miss Karen, with no further ado, can you please read our letter for today?
It's my pleasure to do so. It says, seeking your guidance on keeping our marriage strong for life. Hi, Daniel and Karen. I love the thoughtful, compassionate way you approach relationships on love letters, and I'm hoping for your advice. My spouse and I are committed to making our marriage last a lifetime, but we want to be intentional about it, and not just hoping for the best. What daily or weekly habits do you have you seen truly strengthen your marriages over the long haul? Specifically, we'd like guidance on communication, practical ways to listen without defensiveness and share needs without blame, conflict, how to repair quickly after disagreements and set fair rules of engagement, intimacy, ideas for nurturing both emotional and physical closeness when life gets busy, rituals and fun, simple traditions, date ideas, or check ins that keep connection alive, growth, how to support each other's goals while protecting time for the relationship. If you have frameworks, questions couples should ask regularly, or a maintenance checklist for marriages daily, weekly, monthly. That would be amazing. We're also open to book or episode recommendations and any small habits that compound over time. Thank you for the work you do. Your show reminds us that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. And we're ready to practice well. With gratitude, Sheila.
Indeed. Sheila, thank you for that letter. And here on Love Letters for sure, we will give you an amazing advice with my, well, co host, Miss Karen. And Sheila, marriage is not simply a single vow made at all an altar. It's a choice, right, Miss Karen? It's a choice. You
Yes.
recommit to every day. Lasting marriages are built on the decision to love one another, not only when it's easy.
That's
But
right.
yes, but especially when it's hard, by waking up each morning with the mindset that I choose my spouse again today, you create a foundation of intentional commitment that withstands season of change.
Absolutely. When Sheila mentioned commitment as the first category she wanted to talk about, it hit me that, my husband and I, for both of us, it's a second marriage, and we've been married 33 and a half years now. But there were times, especially in the very beginning, when I brought two children into the marriage, and then we brought two more children together. It was challenging in so many ways, but that commitment that we made before each other and before God was like a root that went very deep into both of us. And I remember hearing a couple who had been married 75 years answer an interview on, with the question, "How has your marriage lasted 75 years?" And they looked at each other and said, "Neither one of us would leave." So commitment is definitely part of it, just as Daniel's describing a commitment to choose love and to choose each other every single day. even in the hard times. But our orientation, both Daniel and myself, and hopefully you, is that our commitment is to Christ, and Jesus is the one who established marriage in the first place, and he said it was to bring up godly children. And so this commitment that you have to love each other doesn't affect just you, it affects other people. I remember a young couple that I met when I was first a newlywed, and they'd been married 6 years, and I thought, oh wow, that's forever. They've been married 6 years, and they were still pretty young. And then they split up, and I was really hurt by that. So believe me, your lives do matter and affect others, not just your immediate family. You don't know who's watching and who's looking at the choices that you're making on the inside, and they're looking on the outside. So the second thing that Sheila mentioned was communication, about not blaming each other and having rules of engagement. I know exactly what she's talking about, because there's certain things that you learn are not good to say to your spouse. They're hurtful for one thing, and they escalate the damage that can be done when you're arguing. And some of the rules of engagement need to be that you're not speaking evil or mean words to each other. And it is, no matter what, how angry you feel, it's important not to use those words against each other. What do you think, Daniel?
Indeed, strong communication is the heartbeat for a lasting marriage. Couples who last learn to share their needs, fears, and dreams with openness while also listening without judgment. Sometimes women does not, well, listen and talk, but they learn from it. They learn as your marriage go through it, speaking with great gentleness even when frustrated prevents words from becoming weapons and allows vulnerability to deepen trust. Practice asking, help me understand, rather than, why don't you ever? And watch how soften conflicts. Wow, that's,
Yes. Women do have more words, don't we? God
yes.
gave us more words to say. We need to say them to each other instead of our husbands sometimes, but definitely never, never betraying our spouse with negative words, even behind their back, either to them directly or behind their back. It's so destructive. And if they ever found out, they would be so wounded and hurt. But it also puts those words out there that you don't really feel that way. You don't really want that to be what is establishing that kind of trust that Daniel's talking about. And, the way God wired women, we're more emotional. We are definitely more emotional than men. And our intimacy is dependent upon the kindness, gentleness, and the way we're treated way before we get to the bedroom. And that is something that men, it's a secret that men really need to know, that, there's certain ways to their women's hearts that will benefit them for a lifetime. And kind words and um, gentle gentleness are huge benefits. And I know, Sheila, you're the one writing the letter, but you can share with your spouse.
Yes, Sheila, conflict is not just enemy of marriage. Silence and avoidance are. Disagreements are inevitable, but couples who endure use conflict as a pathway to deeper understanding, establishing boundaries, like never attacking a character, never using a past wounds as ammunition. Woman does. It's already past, and then it's like, okay, again and again and again, but always pursuing resolution before sleep can turn even arguments into opportunities of growth and closeness.
Yeah, saying things like "you never" or "you always." That's just not fair. Because if we're
Mm.
talking about, what we're dealing with right now, as Daniel said, we can't be reminding our partner of other past, maybe, sins or misunderstandings or unkind words. it's destructive to the now. And so for communication to work, there needs to be forgiveness. You need to humble yourself and say, I'm sorry if you did angrily say something you wish you hadn't, or do something that really undermined the trust in your marriage. Whatever it, even if it's something slight, lying or hiding, these are things that keep intimacy from deepening between you. So be very quick to ask forgiveness and to give forgiveness.
Indeed. Beyond physical closeness, Sheila, emotional intimacy is the glue that binds. Share your inner world with your spouse, your worries, your victories, your ideas, your doubts. By regularly opening up, you create a safe emotional space where both partners feel seen, heard, and cherished. Emotional connection fuels every other aspect of marriage, making love resilient.
That's true. And we joke that when your husband says, "I'll do the dishes," we joke and call that foreplay. Your wife loves
Definitely.
it emotionally when you're willing to help, or maybe voluntarily do something from that, honey-do list, so to speak, or, be willing to say, "What can I do today? How can I help you?" Or, or the children, "How can I be the partner that you need me to be?" Is just so disarming and really thoughtful for either person to say to their spouse, "How can I help? What do you need today?" Is huge. It really does open up our partners' hearts when we mean what we when we want to help them too.
A lasting marriage also thrives on physical affection, Sheila. It's not only about sex, but the small touches, a hug before work, holding hands in public, a kiss goodnight that communicate love and desire. Physical closeness keeps passion alive, strengthens bonding, and reminds you that your spouse is not just your partner in responsibility, but also your lover.
That's right. He's the only lover you will ever have if you're a committed marriage. And that's important to nurture every day, all day. Maybe your partner just really wants you to get up and pack them a lunch before they go to work, or just something makes a difference to them. The book, The Five Love Languages by Chapman, is really been kind of helpful to me and my husband understand each other. I like meaningful conversation. He likes presence and being in each other's presence more than conversation. I'm the conversation person more than him. So I know that sometimes it's just a matter of me being there, not necessarily that we're talking, but that I'm there really, really, really ministers to my husband. And remembering that God's the one that did create marriage and he meant it for joy. And that is mutual joy and companionship and intimacy. You're not having a platonic marriage unless there's some physical, health problems that interfere. Can find other ways to be, as Daniel's describing, affectionate with each other. We all can do that. And it's important even that our children and others see those special gentle touches with each other, and it fosters that closeness that you want to stay in your marriage.
Every lasting marriage, Sheila, has its rituals, small, repeated actions that become anchors. It could be a weekly date night, morning coffee together, or every evening walks. These rituals carve out sacred time for the two of you. No matter how busy life becomes, the predictability of connections offers comfort and stability even in uncertain seasons.
Yes. One thing that my husband and I have gotten in the habit of doing in these last few years is having communion together, because it was difficult in our busyness early on, homeschooling and having four children and working, to take time to pray together. other than over our meal for a few minutes and falling asleep exhausted. We got get into that habit early on, and I wish we had, but as we've gotten older and life isn't so complicated, we've been able to do more praying together. Even just saying the Lord's prayer as we're going to sleep, it just gives such a comfort. But doing communion is really special. My husband, from 1 Corinthians 11, just repeating those words that Jesus spoke about his body and the blood of Jesus, and remembering it. Do this in remembrance of me. It just puts a special spiritual depth and commitment to each other that is very fulfilling, because it is about fulfilling each other's deepest needs of companionship and being loved thoroughly, not because you're perfect, because you're loved for who you are. I asked my husband about this letter when I read it to him, and he said one of the things that was important to him is that you don't go into marriage trying to change each other.
Yes.
Can be very destructive. You are loving that person, and so they don't put the toothpaste cap back on, or they let their laundry go on the floor. And I remember trying to always keep up and pick it all up, but the more children I had, the less time I had to pick up after him, my child. And I finally just stopped and said, "You know what? I'm just gonna walk around the piles and he'll deal with it or he won't." But I gave up wanting a perfect bedroom, just saying, "Okay, this is not his gift and I can make it an issue or not." And I chose not to, because there's other things that he does very well.
Indeed, and Sheila, forgiveness is perhaps the most radical act of lifelong marriage. Holding onto grudges slowly erodes affection and trust, but forgiveness releases both partners to start fresh. It doesn't mean ignoring hurt, but choosing reconciliation over resentment. Couples who forgive often grow stronger because they have proven love can survive disappointment.
And it's really important that you don't compare your marriage to others, because no one knows what is going on behind closed doors but them and God. So you just don't know. If you think, "Oh, we just don't measure up," it's just the wrong way to go about it. And Daniel mentioned disappointments. Maybe you had expectations about your marriage that you're not seeing happen, but maybe there's something in you that is really more of a God size need than a spouse size need. Your spouse can't fulfill everything in your life. It's really the place of God. And you don't want to put your spouse on the throne of your heart. Jesus needs to be on the throne of your heart. And that is really important to have that relationship number one. And then you'll get fulfillment through worship and prayer and church. And that's something that you can share and have a tradition together, that you're a family that prays together and attends church together. Whatever that looks like for your family is one that will last the turmoil of the ups and downs of life and the things that can happen that want to tear us apart. You'll make it. You'll have that rooted foundation that will keep you through those hard times.
A marriage flourishes when both partners are committed to personal growth while supporting one another's dreams, Sheila. Encouraging each other's passion not only builds respect but also prevents stagnation. When individuals thrive, the relationship gains new energy and shared growth become a lifelong adventure instead of a static bond. Lasting love requires strong boundaries with outside world. Careers, friends, family, and even technology can crowd out your connection if unchecked. Protect your time, your energy, your intimacy from unnecessary intrusion. Prioritize we above they, and your marriage will remain a safe haven amid life storms.
Our family also had the tradition of camping. which, to be honest, is not a vacation for a mother who does the shopping and the cooking and the cleaning. It's about the children, and you do it together. And I can tell you that all those years are really special memories for my children, but also for my spouse. He felt so treasured that I was willing to do that. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. It seemed like I was, either pregnant or nursing one of them, and it was not easy. But it's really special, and I know I didn't resent it. I was happy to see my family enjoying each other and enjoying the beauty of nature, and really being able to worship in the beauty. And so, finding something that you were willing to do with your spouse, even if it's not your favorite thing. Maybe they love sports or outdoor activities, or like me, I love movies. If he didn't want to go see it, then he had no problem with me going with my girlfriends to go see movies that
Yes.
they didn't want to go to. And not changing each other means accepting the differences. And I say there are differences between men and women. We don't think the same. We are not the same. And it's important to celebrate those differences, even as sometimes we have to work through those misunderstandings that can happen.
Yes. And Sheila, feeling of love will rise and fall, but the act of love endures. Marriage that lasts forever is a build on daily choices, patience, kindness, empathy, and loyalty, of course. When the butterflies fade, the beauty of love deepens into the richer, steadier flame, the kind that warms a lifetime. Couples who last don't wait for love to happen, they create it again and again.
And have fun together. There's what drew you. There's things that drew you. And I know for me, my husband is hilarious, and I love his sense of humor. He loves mine. We laugh together. We laugh at our own weaknesses or foibles, not at each other, with each other. As long as it's not mean, we can laugh at the things that we know about each other that are not something you want everybody to know, but you can laugh with each other and realize. We'll say all the time, you won't see that in movies. You won't you never see that in the movies. But well, because real life isn't the movies. Real life is full of the nitty gritty, and if you can have a good sense of humor about it, it's a huge, huge release of joy. So we thank you,
Yeah.
Sheila, for this really, really challenging letter with lots of great questions. And I hope that Daniel and I have been able to share some insights that have captured your imagination and given you some ideas of how to keep your marriage for the long term.
Yes. Again, Sheila, prioritize we above they. That's important to make your marriage lasting and forever. Miss Karen, would you like to plug in something?
Yes, please join us. Daniel and I also have another podcast that's Bible Verses 101. And every week we take a verse and dissect it and help you understand it better and help us understand it better. And we hope that you will join us to do that as we celebrate the Word of God and hide it in our heart to help us.
Yes, people, please do listen to our upcoming podcast with Miss Karen, Bible verses 101, coming soon. We're just doing our recording, and for sure we will release it sooner or later, and tune in for that. So, Miss Karen, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Daniel. God bless you and God bless everyone.
More to come, people. See you soon.